Are you a licensed health professional like a dietitian, a therapist, or some other type of clinician who's frustrated by the limitations of insurance reimbursement? Or maybe you're just plain exhausted from trying to fill your virtual practice through social media alone. What if I told you that there's a way to double your insurance income, even while giving your clients better outcomes without adding extra one on one time to your schedule? That's exactly what this video is all about. I'm Laura Schoenfeld. I'm a business coach for health and wellness professionals. And in this video, I'm joined by one of our amazing NBA alumni, Becky Bell, who has built a thriving hybrid insurance and cash-based nutrition practice that's more profitable, more sustainable, and completely independent of having to use social media to get clients. Becky's approach is helping her earn more money, serve her clients better, and finally have a business model that truly fits her skills as a clinician. In this conversation, Becky shares how she transitioned from a traditional cash pay model to a hybrid one that works with insurance. She designed a high-touch program that still qualifies for reimbursement. She replaced her Instagram marketing with simple SEO strategies that bring in clients automatically, and she increased her total income to where more than half of it comes from cash pay services, meaning that she's effectively doubled what she earns from insurance reimbursement. So if you're ready to build a health business that gives you consistent income, long-term clients, and the freedom to work on your own terms, this video is going to show you exactly how to do it. This model can work for you whether you're a dietitian, a therapist, a nurse practitioner, physical therapist, really any type of licensed professional who's able to take insurance and wants to grow their business in a smarter way, not just work harder. And if you want my help designing a signature program that allows you to take cash pay and insurance in this hybrid model, while also helping your clients get even better results, then just DM me the word NBA, yes, like the basketball league, on Instagram, or check the show notes below for the link to apply for the Nourished Business Accelerator. Now, let's dive into this conversation with Becky Bell, and you'll be able to discover how to double your insurance income from your health practice while building a business that truly supports your best life. All right, everybody. I am so excited to have with us today Becky Bell. Welcome to the Nurse CEO podcast, Becky.
Thanks, Laura. I'm excited to talk about this topic today.
Yeah, I know. And it's been a while since you were at our live event in Raleigh. Gosh, at this point, I think 2 years ago, which is insane that it's been 2 years. I'm like, how has that been 2 years? But you and I worked together for a while in a variety of different programs. And I know that the NBA program was like the main one you entered my world through. And we wanted to have this conversation today because a lot of the NBA students we work with, especially the dietitians in the group, really want to create a business model that is similar or the same as the one that you are now currently running. And so I wanted to bring Becky on. We were kind of laughing about, we have a lot of people that are reaching out to her asking for her insight about this. And rather than make her spend a bunch of time talking to hundreds of people about it herself one-on-one, I thought, why don't we just do an interview? Why don't we get her on the show and she can do a nice, like, let me tell everybody at the same time and condense it all into one conversation. So what we're going to be talking about is how to run a hybrid insurance and cash-based business as a dietitian. And we'll also probably touch a little bit into the traffic side of things because Becky was telling me before we hit record that she took a 1 month break from Instagram a year and a half ago and has not come back since, and she's doing quite well regardless. So I know that there's a lot of people out there listening, a lot of clients we work with that don't want to do Instagram or don't want to rely on it, whether they do it or not. It's like nobody really wants to be like fully reliant on Instagram as the only source of clients for them, usually I would say. I think understanding that there's other options can be super helpful. So thank you, Becky, for bringing yourself and your time here today. I know everyone's going to get a lot of value from the conversation. So I just want to kind of paint the picture of before you actually made this transition to the hybrid insurance cash-based model. Can you tell me about, or tell us about what your business was like leading up to that and how was it going? You know, pros, cons, like obviously something inspired you to make the change. So just like give us the nutshell version of how you even got to the place where you're like, maybe I should add insurance into my business to make a change.
Yeah. So I started my business in 2020 and started as a cash pay from the very beginning. I think at the beginning, I don't know if I ever really had any interest in insurance. I had like a lot of, I think I had some like preconceived notions around like insurance clients might be less committed and like less invested. And I think also like the whole idea of insurance felt like very overwhelming, like something I just never really wanted to deal with. So I started my business cafe and did that for a couple of years. And I think I probably did MBA with you maybe like, I don't know, like a year, a little over a year maybe into my business. That was like, or honestly, a really helpful foundation for me as far as like, understanding like building the basis of a business. And I think even before MBA, I had really always had my business in like a program kind of model. I've never really did just like single sessions. I from the very beginning had at least some form of like package or that I would enroll clients in. And I loved that part of working with clients as far as like being able to have kind of an ongoing commitment and for people to be investing in kind of like an experience or like investing in outcome instead of just like showing up for a session. So I always thought like that part of business, I think was going really well. And I think like over the years, I liked what I had like built and put together as far as kind of a program that was, like, I mean, there's a couple of rounds of that. Some group programs I did like, then some that were like more like hybrid, like one-on-one sessions with some kind of like a program element. I really liked what I had built there, but I think number one, I felt like I was like a little bit burned out on marketing and just like how much effort I felt like I was putting into like getting clients. And I mean, I know like everything I've learned from you, Laura, I fully believe this. That, like there's always people out there that are willing and able to pay, right, for services. I fully believe that. But I also like there is like a segment of the population that is maybe in that gap, right? Where like that they are highly motivated, but like maybe just are not quite ready, you're not able to like, to fully invest in like the one programs that I was offering. And I don't feel like I need to like make my services available to everyone. But I also felt like there was like this segment of people that were kind of in the middle ground, like not the people that were like not ready to invest, but people that did want to invest. But it was just like maybe like a little bit too much of a stretch. Like level of investment, like financially, that I was asking for. And like I kind of was starting to feel like I wish that I could find ways to like expand that a little bit and reach that. What I did not want to sacrifice was like the level of outcomes I was getting. I know from like the years that I spent in business and the programs that I built, like a high touch for me for one, like a high touch program, and also like a high level of commitment was what gives people like really good results. So that was kind of like where I think maybe like that transition started coming from, as far as like how do I make it like an easier yes for people? How do I maybe expand a little bit as far as who could afford or who I could reach with my services, but how do I do that without sacrificing the quality that I can provide and the level of service? Because I was like, I'm definitely not willing to sacrifice on that. I do not make any sacrifices on the outcomes that I can get for people for the sake of making it more affordable.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where that like transition came from. I also just like I think I started, it's been probably I think like a year and a half now that I've been taking insurance. And I also felt like, I mean, at that time, I was kind of like sensing a little bit, I think the economy has changed a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And while like, I mean, I'm sure you would agree with this too, Laura. I mean, I think no matter what is happening to the economy, like there's always going to be like people, plenty of people out there to purchase. But I just was like feeling that burden. I was like, I'm feeling the squeeze of the economy and change myself, and noticing how my own spending habits are changing, like as the economy has changed. So I know I just kind of was like feeling like a desire to want to like adjust for that a little bit, or just make open up my opportunities for clients.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that because you're not necessarily going all the way into more of the traditional insurance model that I think most dietitians are operating within. Or I even think about a lot of the I guess the companies, we'll call them, that run those kind of like bigger insurance-based models where you might see somebody once and never see them again. And it's like, did I even help them? Was that even good? And I've been seeing a lot of chatter lately about those particular companies where now the companies are really holding dietitians accountable for retention. And it's like, you're not even supporting these dietitians to be able to retain the client and to really create something that can actually facilitate a transformation, that can, create that continuity for somebody. And yet you're like going to affect their pay based on, or affect even if they get clients based on if they have people coming back. And so it's just one of these things where I think like a lot of dietitians are getting kind of screwed over a little bit in these models where there's so much pressure to just blow people away in the first session. And we all know that change takes a while, right? Like it really is something that I strongly believe takes months, if not possibly longer, for most people to really get a solid lasting change in their life. And I feel that most dietitians have the skill sets and have the ability to really facilitate great outcomes when they have the time and the space and the extra type of support outside of sessions that they are capable of creating. So I feel like what you have created is exactly, like, I would say, one of the optimal ways to even take insurance, because you have that longevity, you have that container of time that the person's committing to, you have the extra resources, you have the extra support outside of the session. So they're not trying to like pack it all into like a couple of sessions with you, but you're still getting paid for your time. So it's not like you're like just discounting everything and making it cheap for the sake of getting clients. So I feel like everybody's winning in that scenario. And you're able, like you said, to help people really get that full transformation that you're capable of, because they are showing up for the full thing and not like dipping out after 2 sessions. And you're like, I don't know, was that helpful? I hope it was. Like, and they might have had a really good experience with you, but they just got busy. They got distracted and they just were like, okay, I'll come back in a month. And then they just forget. Right. So I feel like the combo is, I still love cash pay. Like, I think there's a ton of opportunity there too. But if you are going to take insurance, this is my recommendation for how to take it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, talk me through when you made this decision to add insurance. You said you hadn't taken insurance previously. Is that correct? Okay.
Correct.
So, you had to add it in. It's not like you were just bringing it back. What was the process like to add insurance back in, or not back in, sorry, to add insurance in to this model that you had created originally as a cash pay model? Was it easy? Was it complicated? Like, what was the process like?
I'd say it was easy, but I think it was probably less overwhelming, less complicated than I thought that it was. Like, I feel like insurance was like this big, scary, overwhelming thing that felt like a whole lot of paperwork and headaches. And I don't feel like it was nearly as bad as I thought. So basically, what I did was I got contracted with a couple insurance companies, and I really like kept it very quiet. It takes a long time to get contracts, so I kind of did like one at a time. And as I got contracted with an insurance company, I mean, basically, once you're contracted, you like are then like by contract obligated to then bill insurance for for people. You can't like just take a cash pay client with that has that insurance and not bill them. So basically what I did is I didn't make it public at all that I had like was going to take insurance. I just started like one insurance company at a time. Like as I got a contract, I just would notify all of my clients like, hey, my current clients, I'm like, I'm now in network with such and such insurance company. If you have this insurance, you need to let me know. So and it started out slow. Like I have like a few people that were like that insurance company, and then I basically told them like if they had like prepaid for anything like paid in advance for a package, then I actually this part was hard. I actually like refunded them for things like for like a portion that they had paid for like the
Oh,
actual
okay.
session,
Yeah.
and then we started billing their insurance. And then like after I waited a little bit, like after I had like kind of got like my feet wet and felt pretty confident, like I kind of figured out like what is like the package look like what is what is cash pay, like what is going to insurance. Once I feel like I kind of like got all that worked out and the billing worked out, then I like started like making it public, like to my email list, went on my website, like that I was accepting insurance, kind of like built publicly facing like what those packages would look like. But I just kind of like eased into it with my current clients, and I think it went fairly well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the having to refund people's not the best because, you lose a portion of that, but it's kind of like growing pains, right? Like it's a little bit of a hit in the short term to open up a lot of opportunity in the long term. And I
Right.
think, you have to make those kind of decisions as an entrepreneur where it's like, yeah, I'll take a little bit of a loss right now to ensure that this is something that I can grow moving on.
Mhm.
With the new offer, you can share as much info or as little as you want. I was telling Becky before we hit record, I'm like, I'm not trying to like make you, air your laundry out publicly. That said, I know a lot of people would probably want to know, okay, can you tell us the details of this offer that you've put together that is a little bit of both?
Yeah. So I basically started with the offer that I already had that I was doing cash pay. So I mean, I started with one and then like kind of like built in like a second level of that basically. So like basically, I mean, I'm in the functional medicine space, so like really like my primary offer included like some lab testing, um, and then like sessions plus included like I know like a course that I built and like some like in between support. Those are probably kind of like that. I have also included like some like meal planning support. That I have a VA actually that helps me do some of those things, but that's like what was kind of included in the original offer. So to build like this hybrid offer, I basically like sat down and like itemized everything out. Like, okay, here is like what I'm charging for this offer. And then I like wrote down like this is like my session rate. Like for my time, the actual time I'm spending with the session, like this is my hourly rate, the cash pay rate for just a session. And then I itemized everything else out that was like additional services. So like I decided like this is like a monthly fee that is kind of built into that. That was like to cover like so they can message me and have access to me. Like I kind of like itemize that per month. Like I give them like some meal planning support. This is that costs like per month. So basically like I added up like um labs was in that too, right? So functional labs. So everything that is things that are not billable to insurance, because basically all insurance will pay for is like direct time with me. So I had itemized everything out and then like basically came up with like this is the amount of money that is like the services that are not billable to insurance. Then like set that as like this is the out of pocket cost for the program.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the portion that is sessions, which I just basically subtracted. So if you're cash pay, which I still have like a fair amount of people that are still cash pay my practice. I'm like, this is what you pay for cash pay. It's for everything. Like my regular what my price was. And then if you have insurance, you want me to bill insurance, I just like subtracted out what like the portion of that package would have been like for the sessions and what they pay is the rest. So it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So are you, and like I said, I don't have never taken insurance as a business owner, so I am a little clueless about this. If somebody finds you, like, are you listed as a provider through their insurance? Like, they could find you just through that platform? Are they, do you allow them to just do sessions, or is it like, no, I only work with people who sign up for this package?
When I first started, like I started with that package first, where it was just like my like functional package, and then I created like one other offer that's similar to that for people that like maybe aren't ready to do all the functional labs. It's like the main difference, and so I created like a second offer that's still that hybrid. I did that for a while, and then I did feel like I was starting to get like phone calls from people that didn't want to commit to that. And for a while, I was like, turning that away. I was like, this is how I operate. Like, it's just, I only do these programs. And then, like, a while back, I actually decided to just like give it a try. I was like, what if I like scheduled to these people? Let me see what happens. And because and I will say that that's like very mixed bag, right? Like I definitely doing that. I get some people where like I've seen people a few times, and it's like like it's not like you said, you don't get like that. You don't really get the outcomes that you want when people only show up a couple of times. At the same time, I have gotten some clients by allowing that have been like super invested clients that have a great relationship with that have been with me for months now and they're continuing to show up. And some of those are like, I have one particular insurance company that is like such a good payer. Like they pay me more for a session I was charging at like my cash pay rate. So
Wow.
like it's really, really good.
Nice.
And so like, so I'm like in hindsight, I'm like, I mean, I have gotten a couple of clients at that insurance payer that I get paid very well for doing sessions with them, and they're very committed. They're very involved. They don't take up any of my time really outside of sessions. So I have decided to allow that too. And I mean, I don't think you have to do that. I think you think um, you could totally just do a hybrid. And that was kind of like a decision that I made that it has, has kind of helped kind of fill in the gaps, I guess, is filling in my schedule. I've gotten some really, really good clients that I've been enjoying working with that way. But I think you don't have to do that. I do get a fair amount of people that I know we're probably going to circle back to this topic here in a little bit, but most of my clients right now are coming from SEO. Like when I ask them, like, how did you find me? Nearly all of my clients are coming from Google search. I have like a handful that'll say it was like a personal referral, and then I've got another like handful that like are coming from like I found you on my insurance website. So I do
Mm-hmm.
those people. I think that there is like that's like something a little bit tricky when people are finding you on their insurance website. I think that they are kind of expecting to just like call and make an appointment. I think that's like the precedent, but I definitely have had people that have found me on their insurance website, but then they still like found my website and like read all my sales pages and everything, and then booked basically like a discovery call and have
Mm-hmm.
become and then gone into like a program. Right, I've had plenty of that happen. So I think it's possible. I think that you could offer single sessions, but you absolutely do not have to. And I think you can still completely convert people from just for looking for someone through their insurance into a program.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you ever had anyone who came in like, oh, I just want to use my insurance. I don't want the whole package. And then they were like, you know what? Actually, I do. And then they upgraded. Has that happened yet?
I've never had someone that like, booked a session and then upgraded, but I have had people that like on a phone call, like, like started out with saying that's what they wanted and then
Oh,
upgraded
okay.
after I had a conversation, right?
Yeah.
Which I think that I mean, this is maybe moving on like beyond the question that you've asked, but I think one thing that has really been huge for being successful with implementing this model is like how I pitch it. And because I've spent months like playing around with like thinking about trying this, and I talked to other dietitians that have kind of maybe were insurance based providers, and they said they tried something like this and it didn't go well. And they would all usually what I would hear is people say like I just can't like people like I'll give people the option to like do like these add-on extra services and nobody like really wants to do that. Like they just want to just use their insurance. And I think that probably what the difference is because I came from the model of selling packages and I'll give you credit, Laura, that like you like taught me a lot, right, about like selling an outcome, right, as opposed to just like selling, like these are all of the deliverables that you get. Like I feel like I had that nailed already. Like I already had that understanding of like how to like kind of like cast a vision for someone about what's possible. So I don't go into a discovery call like listing these options, right? And I don't like paint the picture of like my program as an add-on. I think that's where people like if it's an add-on, like you could work with me and it could add on these extra benefits, these extra services. Like people are then weighing like, do I really need to spend extra money to do that? Like I instead start with like, listening to someone's story and what their goals are, and then I will say like I think that you're a great fit for this program. Like I will paint like the picture of what is the outcome they can get with that program, and this is the best way to get there, right? And then I would say like your insurance will pay for like a portion of this, but there is an out-of-pocket investment. Really like focus on what is possible and like why this is the best way for them to get to the result. If they're not ready to commit to that, then I will like downsell to a different option. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really key difference and why like a majority of my people, whether they intended to or not, like will opt in. They end up opting into a program like once they realize like, yeah, I think you're probably right. It's probably what I need to be successful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you brought that up because I could totally imagine a lot of people who they've only ever taken insurance or they're starting their business from scratch and they don't know how to actually sell effectively. And you obviously coming from the cash pay background, having gone through the MBA program, I know you really dove into a lot of the selling strategies that we teach, and
Mhm.
that was something that I'm sure you had to get decently good at. You don't have to be a professional salesperson, but you have to know at least some skills as far as sales conversations are concerned to sell cash pay. Probably for you, it was like, wow, this is like actually easier because now I can basically give them a discount off of what I normally used to have to ask for versus somebody coming in the other direction, as you were saying, where it's like, well, now I'm asking them to spend more than what they need to theoretically to get the
Right.
result. And then, like you said, I mean, most people, even if they have the money, it's not even necessarily about whether or not they have the money. If you don't need something extra, why would you pay for it? Right. So if somebody's presenting something as, well, this is going to make it even better, like maybe a few people will take it. But the way that you position it as this is the solution to your problem. And the great news is I can, give you this cash or this insurance special price because your insurance will cover this percentage. That's a totally different way of positioning the offer than saying like, and I can also add this stuff if you want to add an extra $1,000 to your investment of zero or of a $10 copay or something. And so I really think that's going to be something that for anyone who wants to create this model, you're going to have to learn how to position this as an offer to sell it the same way that somebody would have to do it as a normal cash pay. Like I don't think the skills are that different. It's just the barrier to entry is a lot lower when the insurance coverage is there. So somebody could be like, I'm not willing to spend $3,000, but I would spend 1,000. I would spend 800, right? And so it's like it's just an easier yes for somebody that would have been a good fit for that cash pay offer in the first place.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And I think you're absolutely right. I have really not changed very much in like how I'm selling. I think that like, and honestly, like my conversion rate was pretty good. Like once I got people on calls, like I had a really good conversion rate because I had, like kind of worked on that. Like, like how to position my offer and like my skills around selling is, but it just got even better. It just got like, that's exactly what it is, just like an even easier yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like once I pitched the offer.
Yeah. Do you feel like you showed up any differently for those calls with that change in the upfront investment? Because I know for me, whenever I'm selling something that I think is like actually a huge discount over what it's worth, I'm like, I have zero qualms of even saying the price. It's like, dude, if you don't take this, like you're crazy. Like, do you feel like you showed up in the call differently because you were like, you have to say yes to this? Like, why wouldn't you say yes?
I mean, probably, especially like coming from like an offer. Obviously, I'd already like built an offer that I felt good about. So coming from that, and it did like, especially at the beginning, I was like, it's like a steal of a deal, right? And like it's like actually kind of fun. Like it's like at the beginning where I started like pitching it, and people will be like, well, like $800, it doesn't like sound that's like not that bad for 6 months. You know what I mean? Like people are like saying those things. I'm like, yes, right. This is like a sweet deal. I do think I do think that was like fun, and I'm sure I don't know if I noticed that, but I'm sure it affected my energy showing up and pitching it with tons of confidence.
Yeah, because I feel like whenever somebody feels out of integrity or out of alignment with the price, which that can be a mindset thing. Obviously, a lot of dietitians come into cash pay being like, oh my gosh, I can't charge this much. And so the belief has to be there. But also, realistically, if you're asking way less for something that you know is worth thousands of dollars, I feel like it's how could you not show up with a different energy when you're like, this is such a good deal that if you say no, it's like, that's a you problem. That's not because I didn't sell it well enough. It's like, you're just not seeing what this could do for you. So I could totally see that affecting just how sales calls can even feel because you don't feel like you're like having to, get them to see the value at the level that is the cash pay price, right? And again, I'm not saying that to say that people can't do fully cash pay. Most of our clients do fully cash pay. We have clients that sell like $3,000 group programs as dietitians. So all of it's possible. And I feel like I know you have kids, you got a lot going on in your life. I'm sure there's a huge benefit to being able to unload some of the extra marketing and sales stuff and really have that kind of like influx of people that easily say yes, that stay with you for a long time, that, the money is reliable as far as like generally you're probably getting paid for the time you're spending. And so I bet the business model is a lot more chill than if you are needing to kind of like hustle on social media or like, build this brand, which I love having a brand. Like I love that part of, the business side of things, but not everybody does. And I could totally see, if you can skip it, why not, right? Like why not make it easier for yourself? So, do you think with the current offer that you're selling, will you just like keep it the same price forever? Do you ever have any intention of increasing the cash pay part as you get busier? Or maybe you already are super busy and it's like, that could be the next thing if you wanted to. Where are you at with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I mean, for one, like that, this is one thing that's really evolved for me too, is I had always thought I wanted to scale my business by going into more of like the group model. And I tried that. And I mean, you probably remember the time that we worked together. I had some like really successful group launch. I had some that were not successful. But I mean, that did work for a while, but I actually realized I just really just don't enjoy that. Like, I just do not enjoy it. I don't enjoy leading group calls. I don't enjoy like all the things that, I mean, I fully believe that you could get people great outcomes with a group program. And I fully believe it's possible. It's a totally legitimate business model, but I just realized like, I just don't enjoy that. Like, I just didn't like it. I love my one-on-one time with clients. And I felt like the more I kept trying to push to get more into group, I was like, I'm losing isn't joy in my business. Like the more I'm trying to push this model. So I have decided instead, like if I grow, I would like to grow into more dietitians in my practice is what I want to do instead. So because I love the one-on-one. I don't want to like totally bring more people and give up my one-on-one time. I don't think I will ever stop seeing one-on-one clients because I just realized how much I love that. And so, but like, I think yes, I would like to, probably over time, increase my prices on some things, and I think I'm happy with like the amount of like revenue that I'm bringing in and like how much I'm making like for my time currently with the model. But I think there's opportunities, there's opportunities to increase that. I'm trying to play around with being conscious around the fact that I do have some people that are cash pay. Like there is one major insurance company that in my state of Colorado is just not been open to dietitians for years. So like I have lots of people that have that insurance that are still cash pay, as well as just people for whatever reason, like just don't have benefits. And so like I'm like kind of like holding this tension to where like I feel like there's opportunity to probably like add more, like kind of like pack my program a little bit with some like benefits that don't require my time, and then increase the value and the price. But that means that my cash pay people then are also like it keeps increasing for them. So I do like, yeah, that's probably still to be determined. I think that
Yeah.
there are places where I would like to like over time maybe like increase some of my profit margins where like I'm increasing my revenue because like have been pretty busy, and so I feel like I could do that. I'm a little hesitant to like then push that where then it's like, becomes so expensive for my cash pay people.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So if you're like super happy with how it's going and you're like, I have other ways I can scale this, then yeah, I mean, I was just curious because I know sometimes with the insurance model, there can be a cap because you can't control the session prices. And if you did want to make more, then you have to start getting creative about how you could do that. And I'm glad you also mentioned the whole not enjoying the group call thing because it's funny. There's such a, I feel like there's such a strong conversation around people who say they don't want to do one on one. And sometimes one on one gets kind of like poo pooed, right? I actually really like one on one as well. I charge a lot for it because I have very little time to actually do it with my current life and, the other stuff that I'm doing. But I also very much enjoy it. And so I would probably never get rid of it, even if the group programs that I run was doing like all the money that we needed. I agree with you that I actually really like going deep and getting that one-on-one connection with people. And I feel like if you're not enjoying running a group, then it's kind of like, what's the point, right? Because you created this business to pay yourself well, but also to enjoy what you're doing. And I think if you're doing something you don't enjoy, it's like, why even bother? Right. And with the one-on-one, it's like you said, there's other ways you can scale one-on-one, especially with the insurance model. You can hire other insurance-based dietitians. You could have somebody that actually likes group calls running the group calls. Like nobody says it has to be you, right? So I think getting creative about what are the other ways that you can serve people that can scale your business without it just being the kind of like, oh, get out of one-on-one calls because that's the only thing that's scalable, because it's not. And I think with the insurance piece, like, you have lots of different ways that you can scale that do not require you to do something you don't enjoy doing.
Yeah. And I feel like that's why I really enjoy doing this model, but it does take more and more of like my one-on-one time. Obviously, that's what I'm building insurance for, is my direct one-on-one time. But I also like most of the things that I'm including, like that additional like, cost that they are paying, it significantly increases my revenue, but it doesn't actually take that much of my time because right now, like my programs are 6 months. So like for 6 months, like I have additional revenue coming in. Part of what they're paying for is a course that I created a couple years ago, right? So I get access to that. Like that's like I fine tune it and it's pretty much it's that. They get some personalized meal planning, but I have a VA that helps me with that. She mostly does it, and she's been with me for a while. She actually was a nutrition student, so she knows her stuff, and I just review. I review them. It takes me like very little time go over those things. She also helps me, like she provides resources and like things for my clients. It doesn't cost me a huge amount to do that. It also doesn't take a ton of my time for her to add things to the program. And then I do things like, I don't know, like some people, I mean, I'm sure this is experienced like anytime you have any group too, like you've got some people that like message me often, but a lot of times like people like having that benefit of having the access, but it doesn't really require like that much of my time ongoing, like on a daily basis, like to be able to answer client questions and to be able to interact, right? So this model, there's a lot of room there, I think, to significantly add things to increase revenue in like that cash space, like that, like the additional what they're paying on top of insurance that doesn't require an excessive amount of hours added to schedule. So I think it's probably like what the best of both worlds of what we've like what you teach as far as like like a hybrid program. Literally the only difference is the fact that you just get a little help from insurance.
Yeah, yeah. If you're willing to share, it could be a dollar amount, it could be a percentage. Dollar amount I think is helpful because it like just kind of creates a better reality, but I also want to respect your privacy as a business owner. What would you say is the financial ROI of the cash pay add-on? Because I've worked with people before who did this model. And I know one client, for example, she said she added like $20,000 of revenue to the year just by adding a course as part of like a cash pay add-on or like inclusion or whatever you want to call it for her offer. If you're willing to share, like I said, I want you to be comfortable, but I think it can be like inspiring for people to know, okay, if you're making like 80K a year with insurance, you could be doing XYZ if you added this type of business model or you shifted this way.
Yeah. So I probably should know my numbers better than this.
It's okay. Rough estimate is fine.
I actually don't know the specific numbers of like if I look over this year, but I think that like I do know like from a ballpark when I just look at my like numbers from month to month, honestly only about 50% of my actual like revenue is coming from what I'm getting paid by insurance. The other like 50% is like a mix of these like extra revenue that I'm like is like what they're paying in cash for these add-on services basically. Plus I have like a portion that is like I'm in a full script, so I have like some supplement, sales and things like a few like other random things like that are probably contributing, but it's like roughly 50% of the revenue is like from that like insurance payments. Actually, probably between like 40 and 50% is where that runs. So, I mean, I don't know if I have like the breakdown of like these add-ons have specifically like added this like to my revenue, because you also in that percentage, I guess, have like just my straight up cash pay patient or cash pay clients. But the numbers that I know are that like it's 50% or less of my total revenue.
Hmm.
That is like actually what insurance companies pay, which I think is significant because it is like a pretty large chunk that's coming from the added revenue.
Yeah. I mean, that basically means that if somebody had a similar business model, they could double their income with this model compared to insurance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Theoretically. I mean, I don't know if it's like a little extra work to do this, so then you're taking a little less one-on-one clients, but honestly, I think most people kind of hit a limit of one-on-one time anyway. It's probably not 40 hours a week, I hope, for most people. I mean, I've definitely worked with people before that were like 50 hours of one-on-one a week. I'm like, how are you still breathing? But most people, I'm sure, hit. I mean, I personally would not want to do more than like 12 hours a week of one-on-one time, but I've heard most people say like by the time they're at 20, it's like, I don't want to talk to more people at this point. So if you have an extra 10, 20 hours a week, it sounds like a lot of the stuff that you're doing doesn't take dozens of hours to deliver on a week to week basis.
No, not at all.
Do you have like a rough estimate of like how much time you spend on the cash pay deliverable side of serving clients?
It's really not. I mean, it's not a lot. If I had to estimate, I would say like like way less than 10 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and like a good chunk of that is actually probably like things that like my VA is kind of like preparing for me and I'm like reviewing and and it's not like all just direct work.
Yeah.
It's not a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you put in a bulk of the time to get everything created.
Right.
There is some like, initiation energy required, but once it's set up, it sounds like the maintenance is actually pretty low lift.
Right. It's a very significant amount of hours building all the things that I've built, right? But as far as maintaining on a week to week basis um is not a lot. And I think
Hmm.
too, like one thing I didn't like say this in the beginning, but um one of the other things that one of the other reasons that I decided to explore insurance was because I was realizing that there are some people who probably could benefit from working with me longer and they would hit the point where they were like they've already invested a significant amount and they're like I think I need to take a break or even they would not continue probably before they were maybe fully ready to be done. And I have noticed that also like my retention rate has gone up. So I have some people, and the longer I have a client, even the less time it tends to take me, right? Because they like after they've been with me for a while, and I think this is probably true like, in general. Like they tend to be like a little bit less maintenance or need less
Oh, yeah.
company, right?
Hmm.
But yet, like my retention rate has gone significantly up, and like I have like a lot of people that have been like keep renewing and staying with me because it's not like it's a more affordable investment for them to keep going, and then it's like really easy to
Yeah.
maintain those people ongoing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even just showing up for a call when you've already had 12 calls with somebody, it's like you know them, you kind of
Yeah.
know how to show up for them, generally what to expect unless they're having a terrible day. And I have always found that the follow up calls are a lot easier energetically than the new one. And so that could make things so much more just chill in the business if you don't have to just be like churning through new people all the time. If you have those long lasting clients that are not to say that you wouldn't show up with the same enthusiasm to serve them, but just the amount of mental demand of serving a repeat client is just significantly lower than a new one.
Right, for sure.
So I feel like I could keep asking you questions. I know I wanted to just touch on the SEO piece. We might have to have you back for round two to talk about SEO because, as Becky knows, and if you're in NBA, you know that we, in our traffic module, for better or worse, we kind of give options, right? We're like, listen, social media is great, but like there's a lot of different ways you can get in front of an audience. And posting on Instagram is one option. It's not the only option. And we have, as Becky will share, we have lots of successful clients who are not using Instagram to get clients. So tell me about the shift to the SEO focus. How long did that take for it to be really driving the traffic for you? And then, what's your, like, I know because SEO is like, it's involved, right? We're not going to cover all the how to's on that in 5 minutes or something, but I'm just curious from a high level perspective, what has that been like for you? What's your approach to it? How fast did it actually start kicking up the traffic for you? Because I know sometimes that can be a little bit of a longer game strategy, but maybe for you it was faster than you might have expected.
It was actually a lot faster than I expected. So I will not say that I'm an SEO expert at all. Like I definitely cannot teach on it. But before I stopped Instagram, I had really I mean I had decided like I think I need to really diversify. I know like even though like in my head I knew like I need to have multiple streams. I think Instagram can just really easily become so consuming. I felt like even though I had like kind of multiple things that I was focused on for traffic, it was like all of my energy ended up going into Instagram because it's like this constant churn, and like, there's this pressure of like we need to be like posting 3 times a week and you need to be on stories. And like it was like I've been spending so much time doing this. So I really wanted to diversify that. And so I had done a course like, a couple of years prior and I had like never really like implemented it all. And I was like, so I like 1 year and like, like right after Christmas when things were kind of slow, I was like, this is my project. I'm gonna, focus on like actually learning SEO. And I literally just did like a little bit of like a rehab on my website, like some things like I learned, like I made sure like my actual website was kind of optimized for like some things that maybe even like locally people were like searching for. And then I just got like a little bit more consistent with blogging. And I honestly do not have that many blogs on my website, but I have one in particular. I wrote a blog about like SIBO and weight gain, I think is what it was. And it was like, I mean, I got so many clients from that one blog post. Like people would schedule a discovery call and literally mention like I read this blog post that she wrote. And so I think with SEO, I always thought it would take like a year to start seeing results. And that is not true. I would say within weeks, I actually got clients off of that one blog post.
My gosh.
Yeah. And that was kind of the beginning. And then it just like, I think that like what has taken time is like I now have like enough Google reviews, like things like that. Like I've got just kind of like on the internet enough places like that takes time, right? Just for you to kind of like catalog yourself and get, kind of like spread out online in lots of places. I think that helps. But if I had to start over again with my business, I would be starting with the website.
Yeah.
Like starting there. Like start by focusing on that and optimizing that tool and blogging. Like because you don't have to have. I think I always thought like you have to be this amazing blogger and have like 200 blog posts to be able to see traffic, and it's not true. Like if you can kind of like I think post a few things that are really niche specific that are like answering some key questions that your ideal client is asking. Like it can happen pretty fast. At least it did for me. So
Yeah.
my next step is like I've been like for the last year basically saying like that I was like gonna go back to Instagram eventually, and I never have. But I actually like this. My next goal is like I actually want to start on YouTube, and because I think what I have learned about how effective SEO traffic is and how much like literally that's what's filling my business right now is just Google search traffic. I think that YouTube is an option to do kind of something more similar to social media where like, video is powerful, right? You get like, based on video. I think that's very, very powerful for making a connection with a potential client, but it's searchable. Like YouTube videos also show up in Google searches and social media posts don't. Like they're not really searchable, not really in any effective way. They last a long time, right? Think about a blog post is like I get clients off of a blog post I wrote last year. That doesn't happen with Instagram, right? And so anyway, so that's my next goal.
I
getting
love
getting
that.
into YouTube next year.
That's so awesome. Oh my gosh, Becky, I love this. So, if we're going to summarize the business model, which I actually think is phenomenal, I'm so impressed by everything that you've created in the last few years and just like because I know you had some ups and downs in the whole like cash pay
Mhm.
experience and you're not alone in that, right? Like there's a lot of people we work with. I feel like there is a certain personality, certain type of like the people that do really, really well with the straight up cash pay businesses really actually enjoy marketing. And there's no judgment about whether you do or don't enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it or it's not the thing you really want to spend a lot of time doing, it can be very difficult to be successful with a fully cash pay business. I'm just going to say that. And it's one of these things where hopefully the honesty is like valuable to people, because I just feel like I used to think, oh yeah, anybody can do this. And I still believe that technically anybody can. But if you do not enjoy marketing, it's going to be very hard. Right. And so I think what you've created is a really amazing alternative to somebody who, and I think you were good at it. It's not like you weren't capable of doing it, but if you're not like, this is something I actually really enjoy and it's a challenge I like solving, you're going to get exhausted by it eventually. And I think what you've created, where you have this insurance hybrid cash pay model, you still know how to sell, you still know how to facilitate a transformation within a specific method that you've designed. So that's not really different than what you were doing with your cash pay, but it's an easier entry point for people. You have all those opportunities to extend the lifetime customer value and retention, which is amazing. And now you have this traffic strategy that is really like, it's building over time, and it's not this like you have to feed the machine every day,
Right.
which is what I feel like Instagram is really like, that's how it is designed. And so you have the blog. I think YouTube is a great next step for you. I'm so glad that you said that, because going from blogging to YouTube is a pretty easy transition because you already have source material to pull from. So I feel like that'll be, and not easy in the sense that, video is still more challenging than writing, but you have a lot to work from. So it's not going to be like, I don't know what I should talk about. Like, you have great content to pull from. And just that model of the more sustainable content momentum that will grow over time. And like you said, you could be getting clients for years from a single blog post, and then an offer that really is facilitating transformations, easy for people to say yes to, easy for them to continue with. It is scalable. There are opportunities to scale it. I just think this is so cool, Becky. And like, I am very excited that we're talking about this, because I actually think this could be a really amazing business model for anyone in the allied health professions that can take insurance as payment. I just feel like this would be such an awesome, different way of approaching business that I don't know if anyone's really talking about. I'm glad that we're talking about it. I would love to talk more about it with our MBA students and the people that we're working with, because I just feel like it is really the best of both worlds. And the skills that you have to sell it, like you can grow in so many different ways versus just being stuck in that, like, I can only get, single session insurance payments. I can only, like, if you're in the Nourish or the Faye community, it's like, I'm getting paid $50 an hour and people aren't even necessarily showing up. Like, I'm not going to pontificate about that, but I feel like what you've created is really like I think a lot of dietitians who are signing up for things like those other companies, I think what you've created is actually what they want. And I just am like super impressed that you created it. I think you like kind of invented it a little bit on your own, because it's not like this is something that is a lot of people are doing. And you've obviously been very successful with it. So I just wanted to really point that out, because I know, you've been through a lot, you've put a lot of energy into this, and I'm just really excited that this has really taken off for you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And I do think, I mean, I would definitely say like to like anyone in your audience that like, I think you're absolutely right. Like that what I love about the model that I've created is that I spend way less time marketing. I'm like busier than I've ever been, and yet I spend way less time marketing than ever before. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to know how to sell. Like you definitely still need to understand how to sell. I think that is where some like dietitians get hung up, especially even like especially ones maybe coming from a straight up insurance world, is they are used to like not having to think about that at all. And I do think that like creating this model where you can increase revenue, you do have to have some skills around selling, and then but once you get those skills, it's not hard, right? So I think but I think that's a key point. how you pitch it and learning how to sell, non-negotiable.
Yes. Yeah. And honestly, I think most people, a lot of times selling is just conversations, right? Versus I think a lot of the marketing stuff, especially with social media, it's like just trying to like compete with people that are like posting their butt selfies and stuff. And you're like, I don't really want to compete with that. So if you don't have to and you can still get clients, that's the dream, right? So, well, Becky, I really, really appreciate you coming on and sharing your journey through this process and, just giving us a peek behind the curtain of what you've created. Like I said, I'm so excited by it because I just think it is something that is a great answer to a lot of the challenges that have come up in the last couple of years with the like just the market, the economy, all of that. And I love that you have adapted your business in a really successful way, and I can see a lot of opportunities for you to keep growing from this. So I just know that anyone listening is going to be really inspired by what you have accomplished and can put that into place in their own business. So thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hopefully it's helpful and inspiring
Yeah.
to people.
Awesome. Well, if anyone does want to connect with you, I'm a little nervous because I don't want you to be like inundated. Are you like, don't contact me, like go somewhere else? Or are you like, here's where you can get in touch? I'm just, I don't want to throw you under the bus and give you like 100 DMs, or I guess you wouldn't be checking DMs if you're not on Instagram, but is there somewhere people can connect with you? And if it's just NBA alumni, then like where can people connect with you if you're allowing it?
Still, yeah. I hit a point. I answered a few like questions, or I posted like in like the Facebook groups for dietitians, and I got inundated with messages. So I kind of had to like set some boundaries around that. But I'm happy to answer quick questions. Like my email is becky@rootednutritiontherapies.com. I'm kind of on Instagram. I have an account still. I check once in a while. It's at rooted.dietitian. But if you are a dietitian and you're on Facebook, I'm not very active, but I'm like in the Facebook groups, right? So
she
I'm
lurks.
kind of present. I'm like present there and participate, engage with other dietitians.
Cool. Well, thank you again, Becky. And thanks for all of you guys hanging out with us and listening. And I hope that you're really excited about what you can create in your business in a whole new way. And it's not just posting on Instagram 5 times a day. So thank you, Becky. And thanks for everyone hanging out with us. We'll see you here next week on the Nurse CEO podcast. Bye, everybody.